Now at 9, how Missouri's governor is cracking down on unregulated marijuana products. Plus, tips to keep seniors safe during this intense heat. And how a local food pantry is helping feed families throughout the school year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
It could be a record turnout. It's too soon to estimate just how many people are gathered in Carthage for Marian Days. The Carthage Chamber expects the city to grow by 100,000 over the weekend. The 4-day Vietnamese Catholic Festival kicked off today, drawing visitors from around the nation and even from overseas. Area hotels, motels, and restaurants could be packed for the next few days, and thousands of participants are staying in tents despite the heat. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The Marian Days Festival will include a mass and procession tonight, and then more events, celebrations, and lots of food through Sunday. But what kind of weather should we expect? Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us with a first look at weather.
Well, of course, we know it's been hot all week long, and we've had the high humidity, so we've had those excessive heat warnings, heat advisories in effect. And again today, 95 for a high, 69 is where we started. 91 is our average high, but it's been the humidity that has really caused the issues over the past couple days. In fact, we're still sitting into the 80s out there right now. Joplin, also Pittsburgh, so mid to upper 80s across the board. We are going to drop back a little bit more tonight. I think most of us back down into the upper 60s for overnight lows. We still, in fact, have heat indices into the 90s, and it still feels like 100 once you get into our southern counties. Here's the good news. Cold front has been dropping through. Now our temperatures, they're not going to drop off too much, but our humidity is going to be much better as we go through the next couple days. Not a whole bunch going on, but we are going to see a few scattered thunderstorms in our far southern counties. Most of you will stay dry. 72 in the morning, 87 by noon, 91 by 4. I think our high temp right around 93. And again, the humidity is going to be a little bit better. I think on Saturday, lower humidity as well, creeping back to 94 degrees. Warm Saturday night, 96 on Sunday. So when Marian Days comes to a close, our temperatures start to creep back up. Plus our humidity will really start to rise as we head into Sunday, and it gets hot again for us next week. I'm going to have the full forecast for you here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. Vulnerable populations like the elderly can be more susceptible to heat-related illnesses, and experts say it's important to take precautions like staying hydrated. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more.
Temperatures over 100, it's just hard to keep cool.
Floyd Gwaltnett frequents the Joplin Senior Center weekly for bingo and socialization. He says it's been too hot to spend extended periods of time outside.
I go walk to the mail and get it, and then come back.
He prefers to spend his time inside at the Senior Center as opposed to outdoors in the heat. He even plans his daily walks around avoiding the hottest parts of the day.
Early in the morning, I'll walk around my apartment complex, and then late at night.
Adrienne Weston is the Public Education and Information Specialist at Area Agency on Aging in Joplin. And she says health issues can make seniors more susceptible to the heat.
People that have blood pressure problems may be on medication that can affect the levels of hydration in your body. So you really want to listen to your body and make sure that you're keeping your hydration balanced.
Weston says the agency helps out by providing free fans to seniors who need it. One of her concerns are retired people who may avoid turning on their air conditioners to avoid a high electricity bill.
A lot of people that do live on fixed income, they have very, very limited resources to begin with. And so whenever it comes time to run the air conditioner and have to keep it on pretty much 24/7 when it's hot like this, they are very reluctant.
Weston also encourages people to check in on their elderly loved ones to make sure they're staying safe when the temperatures are dangerously high. Reporting in Joplin, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Weston says some chronic illness can affect the body's ability to regulate body temperature. She recommends making sure that your elderly loved ones have access to an air conditioner or fan to stay cool. Well, close call for a teenage girl crossing State Route YY in Carl Junction today. The semi struck the 14-year-old girl. She was thrown into the ditch. The driver of the semi stopped and pulled off the road. The girl was transported non-emergency to an area hospital. She was awake and alert after leaving the crash scene. Well, the newest Missouri executive order prohibits the sale of unregulated cannabis products. Missouri Governor Mike Parson announced the order, which bans the sale of foods containing psychoactive cannabis compounds, unless the establishment is an FDA-approved source, such as a licensed dispensary. Parson wants to decrease minors' access to cannabis products by banning the products from retail establishments with only a liquor license. For more information, go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A health provider in Southwest Missouri celebrates National Health Center Week with a free lunch. Access Family Care and the McDonald County Health Department teamed up to host the lunch today. The event also provided a way for families to come in and get their kids vaccinated before going back to school, courtesy of the health department.
Just that the McDonald County Health Department is here for you guys to help the community. We have the vaccinations. We have lots of other services we offer, such as lab draws, nursing, and maternal child health.
The event also provided information on health care, wellness and prevention, diabetes, cancer, and more. You can also head over to KOAMnewsnow.com/education for more vaccine information. Fairview Christian Church in Carthage is trying to make sure families have food ahead of the school year. They've opened their food pantry for anyone in need. It'll be open once a week, every Thursday from 3 to 4:30 p.m. The church plans to open weekly through at least November 14th. Fairview Church is at 2320 South Grand Avenue in Carthage.
We like to have every week at least 4 of these 5 areas. We always want to have protein. We like to have some bread item, vegetables, fruit, and it's nice if we have something sweet.
Fairview Church is at 2320 South Grand Avenue in Carthage. Well, coming up, what Gen Xers and millennials need to know about their risk for more than a dozen cancers. Today is World Lung Cancer Day, a time to raise awareness about the leading cause of cancer deaths worldwide. The disease claims the lives of about 370 Americans every day. A new survey by the American Lung Association finds 62% of people are not familiar with life-saving screenings. For those 50 and older with a 20-year PAC history of smoking, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommends a CT scan.
You roll through it and a couple times back and forth. So it's scanning your lungs during that. It's a pretty quick procedure, under 10 minutes. Think of it as a 3D X-ray. It's able to, with better resolution, assess findings that might be concerning for lung cancer.
Smoking is the leading cause of lung cancer, but other risk factors include asbestos exposure on the job, radon, smoke from cooking or wildfires, and other kinds of air pollution. Well, cancer has traditionally been thought of as a disease that affects older generations, but a new study suggests more than a dozen cancer types are striking more young adults. Mandy Gaither has a look at the data and why experts say more research is needed.
It's a scary trend. Researchers looked at rates of cancer cases based on years people were born.
Similar cohorts have the same kind of social, environmental, climate, stress, maybe diet as others born during that same period.
The new large study led by researchers at the American Cancer Society found those born between the years 1965 and 1996 have a higher risk of developing 17 out of 34 cancer types studied when compared to older generations, including breast, pancreatic, and gastric cancers. Death rates in this younger age group are also higher for liver cancer in women, uterine, gallbladder, testicular, and colorectal cancers.
It's important to know we don't have, a so-called, a silver bullet to tell exactly what's going on here.
That's why experts say more research is needed to find a cause in rising rates of certain cancer in younger adults. For now, researchers say those known as Generation X and millennials should be aware and stay vigilant.
If one has unexplained symptoms, abdominal pain, bloating, changing your stools, make sure that you do seek medical care, and not simply, and if you're told it can't happen because you're too young, need to advocate for yourself.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, the cause of the increase in certain cancers in younger generations of adults is unknown. Experts say many of them are related to obesity. So one idea is that certain types of food are having an impact on these cancer rates. Well, Doug is next with the complete look at your forecast. And later, a Parsons High School baseball standout commits to play for an area college.
Well, definitely turned out to be a hot one for us today. Temperatures back up into the mid to upper 90s for afternoon highs. Looking pretty good right now. We've had a cold front that has slipped through. So what this is doing for us is lowering our humidity. Yes, our temperatures will be a smidge cooler over the next few days, but it's going to be the humidity. That's where you're really going to notice the difference. Let's go outside. Sitting into the mid 80s, 84 in Stockton, 87 in Anderson, Bentonville, 89. Grand Lake 88, 85 in Miami, Pittsburgh down to 80. Yates Center is sitting at 85 degrees. Here's 7th. Here's Rangeline sitting at 85. The winds are now calming down due to that front rolling through, and eventually our humidity is going to be dropping. Still, we have dew points kind of 70 upwards to 80, which is at the top of the scale. So that puts us into that muggy to soupy range, but at least the humidity is going to drop just a bit. But check this out. Still have heat indices, 100 Anderson, 102 in Grove, 103 in Bonita. Feels like 102 in Nowata, so it's very steamy out there, of course, as we go through the next few hours. Not a whole bunch going on, but we are tracking along that front a few isolated thunderstorms in our far southern counties developing over the next several hours. Besides that, we're pretty quiet. Dome of high pressure. So we're getting little waves that kind of rotate around that high, but since we got this cold front, we have a little cooler air working in from Canada. Now again, temperature is not much cooler, but it's going to be the humidity, which is going to cool down a bit. Let's go through the night. Isolated storms, southern counties. We start upper 60s for you tomorrow. By noon, we're going to be into the upper 80s. A little bit cooler for us tomorrow, about 89 Nevada, 93 Neosho, 94 in Welch, Chanute, up to 91 degrees. Tomorrow night, we drop back into the upper 60s once again. Then Saturday, very similar to tomorrow, maybe a notch or two hotter as temperatures will get to about 94 and 95 degrees. Heat indices not that bad tomorrow. They're going to pretty much match the temperatures into the low to mid 90s, and then they creep up just a bit by the time we head into Saturday afternoon. Even Sunday, not too bad. We do get back into the upper 90s for highs, and then we're going to approach that triple digit mark once again as we go through next week. All right, 93 on your Friday, 94 Saturday, 96 on Sunday. Again, the humidity a little bit lower, which is going to be nice, and then getting hot and humid again as we go through next week. Mainly dry next several days.
I didn't think I'd ever say it, but I'm thankful for these temperatures in the 90s.
It's better than what we've seen, yes.
Yeah, not really looking forward for getting back up there, but yeah, as long as we can get the less humidity, just like, yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll take it.
All righty.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, the Butterfly Garden at Crawford State Park is getting a facelift. Yesterday, 6 loads of gravel were added to the walkways around the flower beds. The Friends of the Crawford State Park is the group making the effort to improve the grounds. A fun fact, the garden itself is in the shape of a butterfly. You can see it from above. Well, Crawford State Park will also be putting on a kids catfish clinic this weekend. The clinic is backed by popular demand and will allow kids of all ages to participate. Rods, reels, and all equipment needed for a successful day of fishing will be provided free of charge. Coming up, a look at the rules Gen Z is adopting when it comes to spending their money. The Biden administration is continuing its crackdown on airline junk fees to help protect families from unfair practices. The proposed rule would ban airlines from charging families fees to seat young children next to a guardian. The rule would also mandate refunds or free rebooking if family seating is not available. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg discussed the plan.
The idea is that this would be taken care of long before you get to the gate. This way, within 48 hours of booking, the airline would be required to assign you those seats together. And if they can't come up with that, if it's not available, then they have to offer you the option of getting your money back or being put onto a different flight without having to pay a fare difference where there are those seats together.
4 airlines, including American, Alaska, Frontier, and JetBlue, have already banned family seating fees. Well, United Airlines is making the move to using sustainable fuel, bringing the product to a 5th airport. The airline says it has purchased sustainable aviation fuel for use at its hub at Chicago's O'Hare International. United says it's the first airline to do so. United says the goal is to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Well, Gen Z is changing the game when it comes to paying. 73% said they've had at least one major negative experience cost sharing with friends. And it could be just one of the reasons the generation is changing the way they are spending. Fox's Matt Murphy reveals what's behind the new rules one of America's younger generations is adopting to better fit their lifestyle.
On the surface, Gen Z seems to spend their money on the same things we all do.
This summer, I will probably spend the most on gas, traveling places.
Food is probably my biggest expense.
Definitely the rent.
But experts say it's not what the generation is spending money on, but how that sets them apart.
I think what Gen Z is doing is helping to break down one of the final taboos that exists in our society, which is money. Money is something that impacts all of us.
A recent study by Cash App shows Americans ages 12 to 27 are changing their spending etiquette, and that starts with cutting cash. 1 in 4 Gen Zers express feeling negative emotions when they have to pay with bills, with 22% responding they don't carry any or carry very little cash.
They tend to say that the emotions that they associate with physical cash are not just cringe, but also ick, sad, confused. And I think a lot of it is that they're so comfortable being digital natives, tapping to pay, sending their friends money through an app. These things are just so normal to them that having the physical cash is a burden.
Financial therapist Lindsay Bryan Podvin says experience drives Gen Z spending. Still, 79% have some regret from spending too much last summer, most commonly due to dining out too much, prompting many of them to revise the rules of cost sharing, opting to only pay for what they ordered instead of just splitting a bill evenly.
I think it's less about being rigid or inflexible and much more about just realizing that social norms are shifting and the way that we send and lend and give and receive money. It's just about kind of creating new financial etiquette and changing with the times.
The study also reveals money is tight for Gen Z. 53% report spending beyond their means, and only 39% saw their savings increase over the past year.
They kind of grew up underneath their millennial brothers and sisters, so to speak, warning them about the economy. Gen Z is prioritizing things a little bit differently financially than their other generations. Even though they might be spending beyond their means, it tends to be on these smaller ticket items versus on a huge mortgage or a huge auto loan.
In New York, Matt Murphy, Fox News.
Up next, they say diamonds are a girl's best friend. Well, a recent discovery could make the planet Mercury a hot spot. Planetary scientists just made a gem of a discovery. There may be a layer of diamonds up to 11 miles thick under the surface of Mercury, the solar system's smallest planet and nearest to the sun. Mercury was born roughly 4.5 billion years ago under incredibly high pressure and temperatures. The scientists recreated those conditions using a high-tech machine called an anvil press, used for research, but also to make synthetic diamonds. They found it could have created diamond crystals on the planet. Well, 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. The U.S., along with allies, swap prisoners within a historic exchange. Plus, how one Arkansas school plans to make sure students are not distracted in class.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Students heading into school later this month in Mountain Home, Arkansas will be greeted with new phone lockers. Hayden Savage explains how the district plans to use the lockers to keep students' attention while in the classroom.
They were used to having technology 24/7, and so we started looking at ways to kind of dial that back.
In today's modern age, nearly, if not all, junior high and high school kids have a cell phone. In the education scene, those devices have caused more headache than help in the classroom.
They're constantly checking their texts, Snapchats, the social media that comes through.
While cell phones have been a problem since students began carrying them, the district saw an increase in phone use after 2020.
Really, since we came back in 2021, that our students were distracted. They were used to having technology 24/7.
That's what made the district adopt a new phone policy regarding phone use in the classroom. It went into effect before the 2023-24 school year.
They would take their cell phone and put it in a designated area so that that was not a distraction on their tables or in their backpacks.
Students are still allowed to be on their phone during passing periods, so between classes and at lunch.
This year, the school is installing a new device for students to stay off their phones during class.
Every classroom will have these, and students will have an opportunity to put their phones in the boxes so that they can focus on their work during class.
The school said it saw success with the phone policy last year and is only hoping that carries into this next school year.
So far, we've seen a positive impact on students and student achievement.
Well, students in Mountain Home, Arkansas will return to the classroom on August 19th. Well, excessive heat is back across much of the country, and for the West, that could worsen an already extreme fire season. California fire officials say the Park Fire north of Sacramento, the 5th largest in the state's history, is only 18% contained. It scorched nearly 400,000 acres, and smoke is drifting into Nevada. Fire officials blame 2 consecutive years of wet winters and mild fire seasons, along with climate change.
The fuels are just completely dried out. We can't eliminate all grasses from the entire state of California. What we attempt to do is create areas where we could stop a fire when it's still at its initial stage.
Well, multiple wildfires are also burning in a heavy populated stretch of Colorado, killing at least 1 person and destroying at least 5 homes. After many long months of negotiations between multiple countries, the Biden administration pulled off a monumental prisoner swap with Russia. 16 prisoners held by Vladimir Putin were exchanged for 8 Russians held in the West, making this the largest prisoner transfer since the Cold War. Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor reports.
Their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free.
Standing with the families of the 3 American citizens and 1 permanent resident who've spent years imprisoned in Russia, President Joe Biden shared the long-awaited news.
Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey.
Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, Russian-American journalist Alshu Kurmasheva, and Russian dissident and U.S. green card holder Vladimir Kara-Murza were released from Russian prisons as part of the deal. 5 German citizens and 7 Russian political prisoners were also freed. In exchange, 8 Russians held in Western countries were released, including Russian assassin Vadim Krasikov, who was serving a life sentence in Germany and at the top of Putin's list for the exchange.
The demands they're making of me required me to get some significant concessions from Germany.
Today's exchange is a feat of diplomacy that honestly could only be achieved by a leader like Joe Biden.
The complex deal is being widely celebrated, but some GOP lawmakers think Russia got the upper hand.
I'm glad we're getting Americans home, but these deals that they negotiate, we continue to see from the administration, they have no ability to negotiate.
The White House also shared that President Biden was working to get this deal over the finish line, making calls to his Slovenian counterpart just 1 hour before he dropped out of the presidential race last month. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, chaos erupted outside the home of the British Prime Minister after far-right protesters clashed violently with police. More than 100 people were arrested. The trigger, online misinformation about the suspect in a mass stabbing that left 3 little girls dead. Police said the suspect is neither an immigrant nor has any links to radical Islam, but that did not stop unverified claims spilling out from social media onto the streets. A bit later, how some Olympic superfans are embracing all the Paris Games have to offer.
Well, of course, another hot one for us today. We've had those high heat indices, about 105 to 112 over the past several days. Looks pretty good right now. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, Tower Cam, downtown Joplin, looking off toward the north and to the east. We do have a cold front that has slipped in. Look at our wind barbs. Out at the north, you can see a little wind shift line right along the Missouri-Arkansas state line. So that is a cold front. It's not really going to cool us down, but it's going to lower that humidity as we go through the next few days. We're sitting mainly into the mid-80s right now. We can go outside. Sitting at 85 at the airport in Joplin, winds are pretty much calm. Humidity still up there, but it's coming down a bit. If you look, dew point of 82 at Grand Lake, 69 in Yates Center. So if we look at our tracker, it's sticky in Yates Center, it's soupy once you get into our southern counties. So we have heat indices still near 100 in our southern counties, but then it feels like the 80s once you get into our northern counties. Not a whole bunch going on, even though this front is slipping through. We could get a random thunderstorm or two in our far southern counties. Most of you are going to stay dry as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Big dome of high pressure starting to shove back toward the west. A little flow out of Canada. Again, ushers in a little bit lower humidity for us as we go through the next few days. Tonight, we'll drop back upper 60s overnight lows. Quick warm up again. Upper 80s by noon. We should get up into lower 90s. So a little bit better tomorrow. 90 in Monette, 94 in Grove, 91 in Chanute, Nevada, up to 89 degrees. Tomorrow night, pretty calm. Slide back again into the upper 60s. Let's go into Saturday. Very similar. High temps 93, 94 degrees, and the humidity still not that bad, but then it will start to creep up the second half of the weekend. So heat indices tomorrow pretty much matching the temperatures. They march up a little bit by the time we head into Saturday afternoon. So when's the heat going to return? Well, let's go to Sunday, back into the mid to upper 90s. By Monday, we're going to be near 100 degrees, that triple-digit mark. By Tuesday, we're going to be near that triple-digit mark, if not a few notches above, as we get into next week. All right, 93 tomorrow, 94 on Saturday, 96 on Sunday. Yes, hot, but humidity's better. Humidity comes up next week, 99 on Monday, 103 on Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, well, enjoy those 90s while they last.
You're going to have to.
And that one night where it dips it down to in the 60s.
There you go.
I'll take that. All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, Parsons baseball standout Landon Rowland makes his college commitment. Plus, the Outlaws try to bounce back from a rough loss. John Dales has highlights from that game and more up next.
A 2024 grad of Parsons High School and standout on the pitcher's mound announces this week he'll be continuing his baseball career at the collegiate level, and he won't have to travel too far from home in order to do so. Landon Rowland, who just graduated from Parsons this spring, announces on Twitter this week he's committing to NEO and will join the Golden Norseman baseball program next season. Rowland was a unanimous first-team All-SEK League selection in his senior campaign for the Vikings. He posted a .225 ERA, racked up 67 strikeouts, which was the best mark in the conference in that category. Outlaws open a 3-game series against the Sherman Shadowcats. Bottom of the first inning, Drake Lee hits a sharp grounder. Sherman turns it into a routine double play, but Cale Good scores, so the Outlaws lead 1-0. Fourth inning, tie game, bases loaded for Sherman. Xavier Fossbender leaps up and makes a great catch in left field that holds all the runners where they are. Next batter, this is a wild pitch, but Sean Kang finds the ball, finds Brett Sarwinski, who covers home, tags the runner out. That keeps it a 1-1 ball game. Sarwinski pitched 4 innings, only allowing 1 earned run to that point. Bottom of the 4th, Evan Vintage singles through the left side of the infield. Outlaws retake the lead, Joplin up 2-1. Game not over yet, but Sherman scores 4 in the 5th and 3 more in the 7th and takes an 8-4 lead. Over to Major League Baseball, the Royals are fresh off a series sweep over the White Sox on the road in Chicago. Tonight, the Cardinals are in the Windy City, but on the north side at Wrigley Field taking on the Cubs. This series could be a good opportunity for the Cardinals to extinguish any hopes of a Cub playoff run as they enter the day last place in the NL Central. The Redbirds held a 4-3 lead in the 9th, but Ryan Helsley blows the save and the Cubs tie it at 4 apiece, then win it with a walk-off double. Final score 5-4. Royals on the road within their division as well, taking on the Tigers at Comerica Park. KC in control of the 3rd AL wildcard spot enter the day. They get their 4th consecutive victory tonight. Vinny Pasquantino hits 2 home runs in a winning effort, and Seth Lugo picks up his 13th win. Final score 7-1. Over at the 2024 Olympics in Paris, it's an historic day for several American athletes. We'll start with women's gymnastics. No surprise here, Simone Biles wins the all-around gold. Then Team USA men's 4 rowing wins the gold medal, which is the first time they've done so in 64 years. 1960 was the last time the Americans took gold in that event. Over to the pool, 17-year-old Summer McIntosh wins her 2nd gold medal of these Olympics. She already won in the 400 individual medley. Today, she takes first in the finals of the 200-meter butterfly. Regan Smith takes the silver in that event. Lee Kiefer becomes the most decorated U.S. foil fencer with her 3rd Olympic gold. And back to swimming, Katie Ledecky becomes the most decorated U.S. female Olympian of all time with her 23rd career medal. That's it for sports. Back with more news after this.
If you couldn't make it to France this summer to catch the Paris Olympics, you can live vicariously through some Olympic superfans. Fox News' Chris DeMeo takes a closer look at all the excitement and how tourists are embracing the action-packed environments.
Paris continues buzzing with Olympic activity, with thousands of tourists soaking up all the action from this year's Summer Games.
People just get a kick out of my outfit.
And while there's plenty of sports lovers, Vivienne Robinson is giving many of them a run for their money.
I spent over $10,000 to get here, and I almost maxed out all my credit cards, and I worked 2 jobs, ended up with 38 tickets to the games.
The 66-year-old superfan has been to 7 Olympics over the last 40 years. Her love affair started when her mother passed along pins from athletes she got during the 1984 Los Angeles Games, and she has no plans of ever slowing down.
Once one Olympic is over, then I start planning for the next one.
Other tourists, meanwhile, are flocking to the iconic Seine River. French officials have been trying to get the water clean enough to swim in after more than a century of pollution. After delays, officials on Wednesday gave the green light to have triathlon athletes swim in the river. Tourists, though, have mixed reactions.
I will trust the professionals, but I'm not sure if I would swim in it.
I would try to get my head above my water and have a shower quickly afterwards.
But one Olympic unifier among visitors seems to be their love of the Paris Olympic mascot. It resembles a cap worn by French revolutionaries. Tourists continue waiting in long lines for their chance to take one home. Olympic officials say souvenirs like this are big moneymakers.
We expect to get more than 100 million euro of revenue for Paris 2024 based on the sales of the merchandise.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Well, coming up, we'll hear New Kids on the Block. Yeah, that's them. About their new tour and album. New Kids on the Block are bringing the 90s nostalgia to old and new fans all across the country. The pop icons talked to Fox while on their Summer Magic tour to share their feelings about revisiting their hits, performing songs off their new album, and the appreciation they have for their fans. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
New Kids on the Block are on the road performing their hits and reconnecting with fans on the Magic Summer 2024 tour.
We can't do it without them. Of
if they're not here, there's no new kids. And so to be sharing this with them and to be reliving memories and nostalgia, but also bringing so many new elements to the table with our new album and a whole new show, a reimagined Magic Summer, if you will. It's very, very special.
The pop icons say reimagining their hit 1990 tour of the same name is worth all the hard work.
It's a lot to be out on the road, whether you're on the crew, building the stage, driving a bus, driving a truck, or the five of us, it's really a grind. But once we hit the stage, it's a beautiful thing. We really are showing up for each other, and it's exhilarating. And nothing worthwhile is easy.
The concerts also have them feeling nostalgic about their early days on the road.
We were all on the same bus, just grinding through and just doing it together and having jokes and laughs along the way.
I remember the first time we got on a tour bus to leave for tour, and we were in front of our producer's house and our families were all there, and we got on that bus and just started that journey. It was pretty epic.
What a feeling. Fans will also be treated to songs from their new album, Still Kids.
It's just a great album that kind of connects really well with the Magic Summer Tour. Like they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, we have a song called Magic and Summer Love, and those open the show. So I think it all connects really well, and I think the fans relate to it.
Welcome to the party. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Donnie was always my favorite. Well, the Magic Summer Tour features special guest Paula Abdul and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of a pony swim event in Virginia. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.